Good evening, everyone. This is Mitch. I hope you guys are having a great Wednesday evening, a great work week so far. I got you a really big update, and it's a significant update as far as, talking about the risk of tornadoes tomorrow. We're going to talk about the winter weather part of this system, too. We've been talking about this storm system for the last several days and been watching to see if the level of severity was going to go up with the severe weather part of this. And it has over the last, I would say, 12 to 18 hours as the short-range models have came in. So we're talking about a little bit higher of a tornado threat for areas of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, maybe Arkansas, and then maybe even areas into Kentucky. So that's what we're going to break down for you guys tonight. This is a big update. So this is going to be a system that affects a lot of people, and it's going to be a risk to a lot of people, just normal day of living, lives potentially. So definitely stay tuned to figure out if you're in these areas, so you can stay weather aware for sure. But if you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button, like the video if you like it. Hit me up on my social media links if you want to stay up to date really with quick updates. I try to give updates every couple hours on there. And if you guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over them, gives others an opportunity to do so too. And I really think that it's a great thing we got going here, all praying for one another. So let's get going here. We're going to take a look at the National Weather Service, the hazards. So basically the pink, this pink, not this hot pink. The hot pink is basically these red flag warnings where you really don't need to burn anything or you're liable to catch something on fire because it's so dry. But these areas in pink right here is the winter storm warnings. This includes areas just north of St. Louis. It does include Kansas City. It includes right into Chicago, but it's right on the border. And I'm sorry for you folks in Chicago. It looks like the heaviest is going to be just south of y'all. The GFS pulled a Jedi mind trick on you guys and pulled the rug out from under you. Anybody that's a winter weather fans, for you folks in the areas of like Chicago. But there's still a chance y'all could see a few inches of snow. I think it's very possible. Detroit, winter storm warning, and then winter weather advisory surrounding all the areas from north to south of the winter storm warnings here in this blue shading colors right here. All these areas in this brownish color right here, these are wind advisories. And then you have high wind watches and high wind warnings already up for a few counties in southern and southeast areas of New England. So there's a lot going on, right? A lot of colors. The green is the flood watches, and I do think there will be some flood warnings issued tomorrow for a lot of heavy rain into tomorrow evening. What we got going on really here in the next several hours and over into the overnight hours, a slight risk. This includes Wichita Falls, Texas, Oklahoma City, Dallas, and this is because there's a tornado threat in this very small area, this 5% risk. That's a 5% risk of a tornado of into 25 miles at any given location in this brown area. So be careful for sure. But really, I'll be honest, guys, the big focus is this right here. And as we get into tomorrow, as there's really an elevated tornado threat here, this is enhanced risk. We've upgraded from a slight to an enhanced, which is a level 3 out of 5. And the reason being is because we've gotten into range of these short-range convective models, and things like the convective energy like CAPE, which is short for that, has really trended higher. And I mentioned all you need is a couple hundred more joules per kilogram of CAPE to get thrown into this. And I mentioned this a couple videos back, and the chances for a tornadoes basically increase, I wouldn't say dramatically, but they definitely increase substantially. So as you can tell, the yellow areas is a 10% chance of a tornado of 25 miles at any given location in this area. Then you got the 5% risk surrounding it. The areas in this I guess I'm colorblind, in this black area right here that's kind of outlined here, that is the chance for a stronger tornado, which almost pretty much covers the same area of this yellow risk, but strong tornado being EF2 to EF5. So there's a 10% chance of that also, 25 miles in any given location in this range. So this is significant, guys. There's a wind threat too, pretty much in the same area where there's a tornado threat. And that is really because any of these storms that form that even don't produce a tornado, guys, there's going to be kinematics in place, strong kinematics in place, meaning there's going to be a lot of wind energy. In a nutshell, to break that down, the low-level jet, which is about a mile above our heads or so, give or take, is going to be screaming in this region, a lot of wind energy. Really into this region. So these storms are going to have the chance to mix to the surface and produce a lot of big time winds. So let's go on and take a look at this. What's going on tonight? Well, I think as we're getting into around, I would say 9-10 p.m., this low pressure starts to eject itself across areas of the south central U.S. With it, you will have some convection that forms, and I think with cold air aloft, and especially in the mid-levels, moving into the region of these storms and the kind of in the environment of these storms, you're going to have a chance for these storms to produce some hail. I really do think you are here. Anytime you get cold air aloft, guys, basically you have a big time hail threat with steep lapse rates, with temperatures basically lapse rates, meaning how quickly does temperatures drop further up you go in the atmosphere. That normally produces a big time hail threat. Now, I'm not talking about hail the size of baseballs or golf balls, but it could produce a lot of small hail, I think is possible with this. This normally happens when you have storms really close to winter weather. Happens a lot here. You see it a lot, especially with the crazy dynamic storm systems y'all get out in the Midwest and South Central U.S. But these storms and this energy basically moves into a more prime environment with a low-level jet ramping up here, pushing 40 to 60 knots here. And you start to get some wind shear here that puts a spin in this atmosphere right into here. So these storms that develop, even though it's not a favorable time period of your day or night because it's in the morning hours, so thermodynamics really aren't super favorable, you still have a lot of moist air in place. Not a lot, but enough to promote some significant weather. And you mix that with some wind energy, with that low-level jet flying ahead, you're putting a spin to the atmosphere. So these storms right into here, well north, especially north and northwest of Dallas, and then north of Dallas, could produce a quick tornado for sure. And then you see the snowy side right here. Let's go on and jump to the deep south right here, and we're starting this at about noontime tomorrow. You notice all this broken area of convection right here. As we're moving into 1, 2, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, this broken line of storms starts to move into Mississippi, western Tennessee, heck, even areas of Kentucky. And this is when you watch it. And be patient with me. I'm going to get a little bit closer look at these storms as far as each state-wise here. Each one of these storms have a chance to produce a quick spin-up and potentially a stronger tornado. But you notice they're not super discrete. It's kind of a broken line of storms. But they all kind of have that kidney bean look, right? Which is that hook that you see that you don't like to see when you're looking at a radar, where that circulation can be there, and the hook in the storm right there. So these storms are moving into a moist sector, so the dew points are going to be ripe, not into the 70s or anything, but you're going to have enough moisture at the surface to work with. You're going to have some cape that moves in this area, which I'm about to show you here in a second. And then the kinematics in place with a, 70 to 80 knot jet right here in the low levels, and then even stronger jet in the mid levels coming from this way. It's going to put a spin to these storms. So you got to watch out here, and then you keep moving forward here. They begin to weaken, but I do think into the overnight hours, really tomorrow night potentially into your Thursday night, into your late evening, you could definitely see some storms moving into North Georgia, and then maybe the upstate of South Carolina, and then maybe the Piedmont of North Carolina. Let's get a closer look at these storms really quick here. And here we're going. We're getting into the morning hours. You're getting into the afternoon hours. Here comes these broken line of storms. And this is that kidney bean look I was telling you about. You notice how all these storms kind of have a hook to them? That's when you can produce a quick tornado. This is a messy convection. And I'll take a look back at here really quick, and we'll back it up here. You take a look at a sounding right in the middle of this, the most significant area of where the highest chance of a tornado could happen. You noticed these soundings, very moist profiles. These greens right here, that's your dew points. The dew points basically right up against the temperatures, all the way up, well up into the mid levels, and then they kind of detach from each other. That tells us that there's very moist air right here. The air is very saturated. So what that tells me is you're going to have a lot of messy convection. I really do think so. Now, that's good considering the fact that I think if you didn't, that means you would have a much better environment for some very strong tornadoes. But the fact that you don't is also bad news also, because you have a chance for some of these tornadoes to get rain wrapped and all this convection meaning a lot of showers, a lot of storms really mixing in with here. So you're basically going to have a broken line of storms moving through here around 3, 4, 5 o'clock here, in getting into Mississippi and then areas of Alabama with a low-level jet ramping up here, and you can have a quick spin up, and you might not see it coming. So have a way to get warnings in this region. It might just look like a downpour coming towards you, but it could be a rain-wrapped tornado. This is a messy look. You're definitely not going to have much in the way of discrete supercells developing here. They're going to be embedded supercells, and potentially a dangerous situation developing here and then you get later into the afternoon and the evening, and this turns into more of a straight line damaging wind threat for areas of this as these storms really kind of congeal together and become linear and then lose some steam a little later in the evening. We skew a little bit further north into Tennessee, same kind of deal. Obviously think the more you get into Kentucky, this becomes more of a heavy rain threat, but there is going to be some storms in this region too for you folks in Kentucky, even southern areas of Indiana, maybe Ohio. There's going to be some strong winds mixing to the surface in Kentucky. There really is, and this is getting into 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and this is going to, watch out, Jackson, Mississippi, Jackson, Tennessee is what I meant to say. Nashville, Tennessee. Look how messy this is. I know I keep using that word, but you know, this just looks like a bunch of storms embedded in a bunch of heavy rain, so it's dangerous. It's a dangerous look. It really is, just because you're not going to see these tornadoes coming potentially. So you got to watch out. You really do. You keep moving forward here, and let's take a look at what's going into this. These are dew points. They are not temperatures. So remember, dew points in the upper 50s and around 60 is really the starting point for an environment that is sustainable for severe weather when it comes to moist profiles. You really need dew points well into the 60s, into the low 70s. But this is what you call a moist sector. See these dew points riding south or southwesternly into the Gulf of Mexico states here, the Gulf states and the deep south. That is that moist sector, and now it has dew points riding all the way into the mid-60s, all the way up into the Quad States region briefly. So there's a lot of moist air here in place, especially down here in the southern regions of Louisiana and Mississippi. But the kinematics are not going to be as favorable in these regions than they are right into here. So you mix these higher dew points, mixed with the basically wind energy you have overhead. Dew points are now wanting to start to get really close to 70 in this area. So you got to watch out for some nasty, severe weather. And then basically the moist sector crashes as that Arctic air moves in, the cold front moves in, and then just like any severe threat in the winter, a lot of times you're warm one day, nasty weather comes in, and then you're cold the next. That's normally how it works with a wintertime and early spring kind of threat. This is convective energy, so this is Cape joules per kilogram. Notice it spikes right over the area that has the highest risk of tornadoes. And this is pushing 800 to 1,000 joules per kilogram, even higher than that, maybe 1,200, maybe close to 1,500 joules per kilogram. Remember, each time you increase this by a couple hundred joules per kilogram, the severe weather goes up, pretty decently, maybe dramatically, depending on how much it goes up. So you're starting to get these Cape values starting to reach all the way into the Quad States area. You mix this with these decent dew points in place, and you have a tornado threat. Big thing we're watching here, though, is the 850s, this low-level jet. Here's that low pressure right here. Low-level jet swinging through these areas, and this is why this is the nastiest area for a tornado threat right here. Low-level jets is the highest right here as far as kinematics, as far as this wind energy aloft affecting here, and it's putting a spin to these thunderstorms here. And you got a 60 to 80 knot low-level jet here at the same time, and this low-level jet is coming out of here. So it's coming out the south-southwest, if you will. At the same time, you have a mid-level jet, which is basically the winds just above the low-level jet, so several thousand feet higher than the low-level jet. You have winds coming out of this more so out the west, still the southwest, but more westernly southwest here out this area. So basically, you got winds coming up here, winds coming this way. So they're kind of colliding into each other at different levels of the atmosphere, which puts a spin to these updrafts that forms with these thunderstorms. That's when you get a tornado threat. It literally puts a spin in the atmosphere. So that's the dangerous part of this system right here, is the intense low-level jet. And this will mix to the surface with some of these storms all the way up into the mid-Atlantic, into the Northeast. We'll talk about that significant wind threat here in a second, here at the end of the video. Last thing we'll mention is the winter weather threat. Now, it sucks it's about 15 minutes into the video. I just mentioned the winter weather threat for you guys interested. I'm just looking at the HRRR model run here. This is what happens here. We're getting into about 6 a.m. You have what I would think is an area of very heavy snow breaking out over areas of Kansas, the panhandle of areas of Oklahoma, and this could drop several inches of snow in a relatively short period of time. I'm talking about just a few hours, as sometimes these comet heads with these kind of systems produce what we call a deformation band, which is an area of an intense moisture with a lot of cold air aloft, so it all falls as snow. So this could bring down a good bit of snow very quickly. At the same time, you already have a lot of moisture up here, and I think that even earlier in the morning, you could have a wintry mix for areas of southern Michigan, areas of northern areas of Indiana, and then maybe even a wintry mix already cranking up across areas of Detroit, very close. But I think most of the Ohio Valley stays a lot of heavy rain. But the real chunk of this quick-hitting winter storm really gets going as early as Thursday morning. You got heavy snow moving into Kansas City. For you folks in Kansas City, it's not going to be a super long duration event, but you're going to have several hours of very heavy snow, and then you're done with it. And I'm talking about Kansas City can see anywhere from 7 to 10 inches of snow, of very heavy snow hitting very quickly. This gets very close to St. Louis, but I think you guys stay heavy rain to wintry mix at the tail end of this, and I think you guys could see maybe a little bit of icing and a quick maybe a couple inches of snow maybe in the back end of this, but I don't think y'all are going to get much in the way of anything substantially winter weather-wise. And then for my folks in Chicago, you guys are going to stay all snow, and I don't know why I keep pivoting this back and forth as I'm talking, but as you're getting into the afternoon hours tomorrow, heavy snow moves into central Illinois, areas of northern Indiana. You're going to have a little small area of sleet and maybe a little freezing rain, but I don't think the freezing rain part's going to be a big deal with this storm. Heavy snow starts to move into southern Michigan, and then I think snow could start anywhere from noon to 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon for Chicago. So it just depends on how quick this can work its way. And I think y'all will get several hours of snow, but I don't think y'all will get a ton of accumulation. But this could get trend more amplified, and y'all could get heavier returns in this region. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow. This moves into the northeast, and I really think this is going to be a southeast Canada kind of deal, where a lot of you folks on the northern side, these Great Lakes here, on the north side, the northeast of the U.S., see a big shield of snow, and I think there will be some ice in Buffalo as we're getting into starting as early as tomorrow evening. Rain turns to ice, then maybe some brief period of heavy snow, and then I think areas of northern Maine stay mainly all frozen precipitation. But let's check out how much snow is showing up here. This is the National Weather Service showing several inches of snow, over a half a foot of snow showing up for areas of eastern Kansas. And then Kansas City, for instance, could see, maybe 6 to 8 to 9 inches of snow. And then St. Louis, which is around in this region, I think the main axis of snow is just north of y'all. I'm talking about maybe just 50, 60 miles up the road sees a substantial amount of snow. But I really think this is going to be a central to north central Missouri event where y'all could see well over a half a foot of snow. This goes on and it gets into the Ohio Valley. This is starting to look like a big-time central Illinois event. Nothing compared to 2 weeks ago, but I do think some areas could get maybe close to 10 inches of snow in Illinois. We'll have to see how this works out. Chicago, the National Weather Service wants to give y'all almost 5 inches of snow, but I really think areas just south of town could see a few inches higher. Areas of northern Indiana could be a jackpot area with this storm and could see maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of snow. Southern Michigan and Detroit could see several inches of snow. And I think Buffalo, as we're making our way into areas of basically the northern northeast, if you will, Buffalo could see, I definitely think Buffalo could see close to a half a foot of snow, but I think y'all are going to stay maybe closer to that 4 to 6 inch range as we're moving forward here. But we also got to watch for these high winds. I've been mentioning this. It's this low-level jet ramps up here. These stronger winds will mix to the surface at times, especially when you have storms in areas of Kentucky. This will move, this area of stronger winds will move into West Virginia as you're getting into tomorrow evening, and then getting into overnight to tomorrow night. I'm talking about right in the middle of the night. This will be the worst. You're going to have winds pushing 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gust potential is for southern New England. So that's why y'all got high wind warnings already up in anticipation, whatever word that is. But y'all know what I mean. Sorry, guys, I'm about 20 minutes deep, and I'm starting to lose my wording a lot. My wife messes with me all the time about how I like to make up my own words here. But y'all are definitely looking like y'all are going to get a big-time wind threat with this. Now, this is not consistent 60 to 80 mile per hour winds. These are potential wind gusts with this. So be careful. Definitely fasten everything down tomorrow afternoon if you're in New England, because you're going to have a lot of winds throwing all your garbage cans all over the place tomorrow for sure, and any kind of chairs or loose items. Big-time wind threat as this low-level jet mixes to the surface. That's all I got, guys. It's probably the last big update with this storm system. Get y'all another update in the morning, but it's kind of a now thing from here on out. So stay safe out there, especially for you folks in the deep south. Definitely a big time risk of tornadoes. We'll see if this is going to be a tornado outbreak. Let's hope it doesn't. But for now, enhanced risk, 10% chance of a tornado of 25 miles in any given location in this region right here. So be safe out there. God bless, and y'all have a great evening.